All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Sweat Equity, episode, I don't know, 64, 5.
Getting into the mid 60s.
Yeah.
Like a man in his prime.
Exactly.
At least
Exactly
we
what it
hope.
is. Like LeBron.
Yeah. He'll be there. 25 years.
Yeah. Coming back after 2 weeks, we haven't recorded. We got to double up. This episode has to go out in 24 hours. Just got to give some insight into the people so that they understand the grind.
There's urgency, you know?
There's
We're doing
urgency.
this for you guys.
This is going to get turned around in less than 24 hours.
Alex and I are extremely underpaid volunteers, but we love it anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I'd rather get right into that. Let's just talk about Miami.
Yeah, man. It's actually, today's 2 weeks. So I just got back yesterday, which was weird. I haven't been away for 2 weeks and what feels like a minute. But yeah, that's going to be what I'm going to talk about today. We executed some dope content and some dope, just a dope strategy for tier overall for Wodapalooza and how we built a team around it, what they were focused on, how the process that we did. So I'm going to give a little bit of behind the scenes on that because I think it could be interesting for people to understand. When you have an event, so many people spend money on having a videographer for the event to only get a hype video at the end.
Yeah.
And that's such a waste of money. Hype
Totally.
videos suck, first off. Nobody, you shouldn't even be making hype videos. So that's what I'm going to be getting into. What do you got?
Yeah, if this podcast can teach you one lesson, it's that volume is not actually hard to achieve. You just have to plan it out in advance. As long as you got a videographer there, everything can be kind of chopped up. Speaking of volume, so I want to talk about this brand. They are fascinating. It's called Americana Pipe Dream, and it's so creator-led. I don't even know if I would call them I don't know which came first, the business or the creator, because he's created a massive community around military surplus. So he's selling exclusively, helmets and pants from a bygone era, like 1980s Swiss camouflage pants. And he doesn't run a single ad, and yet they do around 15 million a year.
Really?
To give you an idea of the scale and execution of his organic content.
How'd this pop up on your timeline?
I've been out by the wayside since you left me. You went to Florida. I was all over, scouring the internet for ideas. No, honestly, I came across just, similarly to how I found a lot of stuff. I heard about it through the grapevine. One of my buddies was like, hey, this is a brand that doesn't get talked about a lot as far as execution, but they're one of my favorites out. And, which, by the way, if you have one of those brands, be sure to send it to us because, love to experience new things. Sometimes you got to get out of the the American streetwear diaspora, if you will.
I don't know anything else outside of that.
Yeah. But this brand's crazy. It's really cool to see how creator-led he is, how content-led he is. I think something I'm going to really start trying to preach about is content-led growth. So product-led growth was obviously the main way that software companies would grow, and all they thought about was how to build growth loops into their product. So how do I create this sign-in functionality that requires someone to invite 3 friends and create some sort of network effect? And I think there's starting to be some ways for brands to think about content-led growth, whether that's mass production of assets, whether that's making things that are very easily stitchable, shareable, you name it. But I think these guys did an amazing job. So I'm going to break that down, but dude, talk to me. Wodapalooza.
Cool. So Wodapalooza, I don't know if you know, but it's almost like a fitness festival, right? Around CrossFit.
I don't. A well-known thing on this podcast is my fitness is hit or miss, to say the least.
Yeah. And so we went over there for basically a week to execute Wodapalooza. So Wodapalooza goes from Thursday to Sunday, right? And there's individuals and then team events. Individuals, a lot of the tier athletes are some of the top athletes there, and the same thing for the team side. And so we went in with the game plan of, okay, we had 72 hours to put together an entire content strategy for it. And so the main thing was the good thing was they already had videographers that were going to be there. So they had this guy Chadrick and Carlos that were focused on a documentary. Chadrick, yeah.
Dope.
Chadrick's awesome.
That's all I got to say.
They're actually all awesome. But they had Chadrick and Carlos. They were focused on documentary. But they were following around 2 main athletes, this girl, Alexis Raptis, and then this guy, Ricky Garrard, the entire time. And so then there was Bennett. Bennett was focused on these 60-second short form documentaries. And then we had BK, who was a photographer. And then the missing piece that we added into the loop was Xander. And Xander was the editor. Ironically, so Xander's like...
What an insane set of names.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a single normal bro at the street.
Not one.
Chadwick,
I mean, Carlos.
Xander.
You got Carlos.
That's true.
Yeah, we got Carlos.
That's true.
Um,
Bringing it back in.
Yeah. The craziest thing about the entire thing was Xander lives in Paris.
Okay.
Okay. Xander used to live in Austin. Like, we used to work with him in rare air stuff. And he moved to Paris, and like nobody's kind of ever seen him.
Like a true creative.
Yeah.
Bro's just
and like
romanticizing.
Xander's my guy.
Smoking cigs on the
But like
patio.
Xander's just like that guy to like just leave and never tell anybody. And then you kind of just find out from the grapevine that he's in Paris. And I was like, yo, like we're going to need you for 2 days to do not on-site editing, but like day of editing. So like we'll figure out a way to drop you all this footage, you edit. And he's like, oh dude, I'm actually going to get to Miami on Wednesday. And it was like it just aligned perfectly. It was the weirdest thing, but it aligned perfectly. So what we had to do was put together a playbook for how they were going to execute Wodapalooza content, but it didn't need to be focused on Wodapalooza, the event, as in like recaps and shit like that of the day. It needed to be like a brand campaign. Think winning isn't for everyone, that kind of level of a campaign. Had 3 days to do it. And then we had to be able to put together content pillars for that. And so what I want to start here with is how you can use an event to execute essentially a brand campaign. We had all of their athletes or a lot of their athletes at one place at one time. And so it was like, okay, how do we put together a brand campaign? Because they have a new initiative of focusing on how people perceive the brand. Going into that kind of Nike-esque, like they have that potential because of the athletes that they sponsor. They sponsor Katie Ledecky.
Yeah.
They sponsor Mitchell Hooper, who's one of the world's strongest men. They sponsor a lot of the top CrossFit Games athletes and Olympians and all of this. And so they have the roster for it, but they haven't leveraged the roster from like a brand campaign perspective. And so what we came up with first was, okay, we have to understand what the narrative is going to be and what nobody in CrossFit focuses on. You know, everybody in CrossFit focuses on like kind of these hype EDM videos, you know, and we wanted to take a completely different approach. And so we went like that Nike-esque route, and we came up with like the campaign narrative of no grit, no glory, right? That was going to be the initiative for this, and something that they've been wanting to kind of lean towards for a while now. And so it was like, okay, we're going to build out around no grit, no glory. The next layer was, what are the content pillars that we are going to develop for no grit, no glory? And so we came up with 4 or 5. I remember off the top of my head. We came up with one that was like one-shot heroic videos. And so then we had the essentially 3 sub-pillars to that. There was focus, and that's the athlete before an event or before a game, right? They're meditating, they're getting in the zone, they're like mentally prepping themselves before. Then agony, so them competing and them, you know, going through some kind of hardship to finish the event and deal with the pain and be able to get over the pain. Then the third was greatness. They completed something, now they're celebrating. They're showing them in that element of an athlete that just did something or accomplished something. So it was like one shot heroic, and the goal there was, can we get those little moments that people don't always see? You see everybody competing, but you don't see that moment of LeBron James like sitting back and meditating. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that moment of, especially in CrossFit, of like what's called the corral, of the athlete back there warming up and like getting mentally prepping themselves to lift 400 pounds or something along those lines. And so those were the 3 sub-pillars. That was one pillar that we were going to focus on. Because one of the other things about event content and something like this is the key to this is speed is everything.
Yeah.
If you're executing an event, you can't post things 3 days later or 2 days after the event. You have to be posting while it's still relevant, while the emotions are still high, and while the conversation and the content is relevant, right? And so we basically had the goal of getting 5 to 6 things out every single day. There was 2 to 3 events every single day. And so it was like, okay, every single time we hit an event or an event finishes, we have to know exactly what we're getting, what we're trying to pull from that content.
Yeah.
So the second pillar was called the pit. The pit was, we were going to work with the announcer, this girl, Bella. We were going to work with Bella we put a mic in, or no, we put an SD card in her mic or something along those lines. And so, you know how like after a game or at halftime, they always interview a player or the coach or something like that. So we basically prepped a hook, and we had her ask a hook to the athlete that was like, hey, like, getting ready for competition season. This wasn't it exactly, but something along these lines of like, what are some of the things that you dealt with to get here? Right. And it opens the door for now, like them being vulnerable and us building a story around that.
Yeah.
And so we worked with her to then build the pit where it was going to be anytime she interviewed a tier athlete, she was going to ask a specific question. We would use that beginning of that interview as the hook to then go into the story. Almost like not a one-to-one comparison, but like, do you remember in The Last Dance episode 7 when the interviewer asked Jordan, he's like, some people regard you as like not being that great of a friend, right? And
like, I wasn't here to be anyone's friend.
Yeah.
I was here to be great.
And then it goes into a story with a voiceover.
Yeah.
We're going for like that same kind of feeling. The third then was we had voiceovers prepped that were kind of like in the mind or in the mind space of that athlete, that then around different narratives around like things that they did in the off season, rivalries that they have. And so we got there, had them record all those voiceovers, and then we built narratives around or videos around those. And then the last one was like heroic photography. So like we had specific looks that we wanted to attain from these athletes where they felt like larger than life, like a lifter, an athlete like doing a 365 clean, and you see the whole crowd like kind of around them, almost like those old Muhammad Ali photos of like him in the ring. I forget who it is on the floor, and you kind of just see
Sonny Liston, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. And so we had our content pillars dialed in, right? And we had like hey, if we can hit this content calendar, that's optimal, essentially dialed.
All right, marketers, we know you love the TLDR, so let's get right to the point. Here are 5 things you can get done faster with Wix Studio. Number 1, you could scale content with dynamic pages and reusable assets. Then number 2, you can integrate with Meta's conversion API, Zapier, Google Ads, and more in just a few seconds. Then number 3, which is a given, and this is A/B tests, where you can create them in days, not weeks, with their intuitive design tools. Then number 4, you could connect to tracking and analytical tools like SEMrush and GA4 in seconds, and manage all of your client social media from one dashboard. All right, if you're ready for more, then go to wixstudio.com. Again, that's wixstudio.com.
So the way that then we had to execute it was, you can't just have videographers if you're trying to get out that much volume. You need to have a dedicated editor. That editor's job is to look at those content pillars, be executing against those content pillars all day. And so the way it worked was the videographers would shoot. As soon as they would shoot, we had a tent. And it was a tier like booth, but in the back we had like this like tent area. And they would come immediately, drop, or we'd have like Briar go grab cards, run cards over if like we had to do shit fast. And we had like little meetings throughout the day of what are sound bites that you remember, what are like little things that we should be looking for. And so basically we'd meet, comb through the footage, talk, drop shit to Xander. Xander would start editing. And
the key had unlimited Red Bulls back there, huh?
Reigns. Yeah.
What is that word? Reigns?
Yeah, you know Reign, REIGN.
Yeah. It's like a Spartan looking thing.
Yeah. They're owned by Red Bull, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're like a Bang Energy kind of dude. Like same kind of branding.
No, that's dope.
Everything. But we had a ton of Reigns just unlimited in the back.
These are crazy because it's like, it seems like it's a Monster Energy, but it's not.
Or they're owned by Monster. I think they might be owned by Monster. I don't know which one. You might have to fact check me there. But 300 milligrams of caffeine in that bitch.
Nah, he was dialed. Yeah, they are owned by Monster.
Oh, by Monster. Okay. And so basically the operation was event goes on. What are the sound bites? Take note. Try to remember them. Event finishes. Meet at the tent. Everybody talks about sound bites. We look at the content pillars. We piece it together in our head. Present the kind of like the verbal creative brief to Xander. Xander executes. Within an hour and a half of the event being finished, we're publishing content.
Yeah.
And we did that for 4 days straight. Wow. The result of that was a few things. We took such a hard right for tiers content. A lot of people were like, holy shit, like what is this content? The athletes loved it. Everybody loved it. People were just like, we need more of this. We basically looked at what does a sport not have that everybody loves in other sports?
Yeah.
And that's how we determined the content pillars. And then it was like, well, what does nobody get to see of these athletes that we can share with people? You know, we had moments where this girl, Alexis Raptis, she finished the event and like, yeah, everybody saw her win or something like that. But like nobody knew that she had the flu right before. and was like crushing the events, was in 5th place going into the last day, ended it at 3rd place, like podiumed or whatever. She finished an event and she's like laying on, she's laying on the floor talking to her coach or something. She was like, I told you I could do it. I told you I could do it. And it was like this powerful moment that nobody gets to see. Right. And so we really wanted to look at those moments and be like, how can we bring these to the people and kind of bring you this live docu-series of Wodapalooza, but doing it in a way that was branded and really focusing on the brand's perception that they want to mold in 2025. And so again, I want to make sure that the takeaway point here is you have to have if you're going into an event, you have to have your content pillars dialed. That's step number 1. 2, you have to be able to have like video. You have to have the separation of videographers and editors. You can't expect the videographer shooting the event to then also edit like during the event. They're focused on what they're shooting. And that's what they need to be focused on. You have to have an editor then who is like literally sole job is to bring the vision to life. Yeah. They have a process. They know how to do it. Like they have their own way of being able to get footage, color grade, build out the templates, all of that to then be able to ship footage. Yeah. Right. Because a lot of the edits that were being made while the next event was going on, which means like the videographer, like, if you look at my text between Xander and I, there's probably one video that's made 6 different ways because I'm like, give them small edits as we go. That can't happen if the videographer is back on the event floor. So that separation, and I also think that is going to be one of the biggest hires a brand can make this year is an editor. Someone that can know, everybody could shoot footage. And what I mean by that is like most companies have a ton of footage that they're just sitting on that they can repurpose, repackage into amazing content, but they don't have it. They just think we have to shoot more and more and more versus like even looking at Tier's backlog. They have what's called Rogue Invitational. They have World's Strongest Man. They have the Olympics. They have CrossFit Games. All this shit from all of 2024 that hasn't been touched other than like some recap stuff that we can be pulling from now. And making and like continuing to amplify this campaign, which is what one of the things we plan on doing. But overall, I think it wouldn't have been as successful if we didn't have an editor in place. Like that is such a key move. But it ended up being great. I think it over the course of like the 3-4 days is I don't know if it's like at 800,000-900,000 total views. But yeah, a good amount of growth on that side too. And then I think the best part on my end was the conversation started happening about, damn, like, what is this content? Like, who's doing this? What are you guys doing different? Because I was getting DMs of like, yo, I know you work for a Tier. Like, is this y'all? Like, this is sick. Like, I've never seen stuff like this. And
it's pretty clear when you look at their grid. I've just been kind of like peeking behind this. And I mean, to me, what you did was you introduced storytelling versus all of this previous stuff was just very like static image focused. To your point, you're trying to make them much more similar to a Nike or to a brand that mastered storytelling. And you also properly resourced it. I think one thing when you're mentioning the editor stuff, a bunch of brands do have a videographer. It's not a hard thing to come by. It's like a random bro that can shoot and, produce all in one, but it's a whole nother thing when you start to see the upside and having an editor that's very, very good. Because they're actually curating the output, which, it's one thing to have a bunch of shot images, a bunch of, visuals, but how they put them together, how they storyboard them, how they edit the transitions and put together, like that's a unique skill. That's not just something that is commoditized, which videography and photography is to me. And so, having that person on site, I think that's pretty unique. I don't think most people are really trying to put out content at that speed either. When you said, I was kind of thinking about like back in the day, you go on a boys trip, it's like, you got to get that Instagram out by like Tuesday or else no one's going to, you can't post the gram from the trip 2 weeks later because no one's going to care. Right?
Yeah. It's almost like I already feel late to post a recap of Miami.
You're too late.
I'm way too late.
You're too late.
Like I should have posted that shit
because then at some point you're starting your caption with you're like, oh well, 2 weeks ago. I went to Miami. It's like, damn, bro.
What's crazy is I posted a Facebook. Like I haven't posted on Facebook in God knows how long.
What? You had a reunion?
I put a Facebook like album
That's crazy.
It was like Miami, whatever.
Damn. So maybe
album.
you need a burner on Instagram now.
No, I just didn't
approaching.
I didn't think about it. Like I wanted to do it, and I guess I just did not fucking do it.
Yeah. I think more brands, and also, I think the natural pushback from a lot of smaller folks will be, well, what do I do with my lack of events and my lack of in real life activations? Obviously Tier can do this at this, thing that they put on. Like that's, no brainer. And a lot of brands with similar resources can probably do the same thing. But, how do you inject yourself into local events? A lot of folks, if you're in anything remotely adjacent to athletics, a lot of people are good at sponsoring these run clubs now. Or a lot of people are good at hosting these coffee and clubbing meetups. I don't know if you've seen that new trend where everyone's doing house music and lattes.
We
11 a.m.
We have something with blenders that we're doing like this.
Perfect. So,
but they have their own space, so which is cool. So like Blenders has their main building on like Pacific Beach. I think that's what it's called, PB, right? Pacific Beach.
PB.
And he just bought like the building next door. I don't know if that's public knowledge. So maybe Cade beep that out a little bit.
I don't know. I mean, he's not. I don't think IRS watches this podcast, and if they do, we got bigger problems.
Well, I don't know if I was supposed to say that about Blenders.
It's a flex, bro. He bought a building.
It is.
No one's ever mad when you say, "Oh, he bought a house."
Yeah.
Like, damn, how much?
But he bought it to be able, and it's a sick little, like, not sick little. It's like a dope spot to be able to put together basically that.
Yeah.
Like coffee spot, DJ, and they're big on music though. Like that's in their roots and in their DNA is music, and so he basically wants to be able to put that together. And we're working on something. I should be going to San Diego in like 14 days. We should be putting together something for that.
I'm also going to be in San Diego in 14 days.
The 17th?
Yeah. For significantly less work-related reasons. I'm just going on a golf trip. I'm cooling.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, I think the coffee and house music stuff is, if you really drill into why that's effective, people want to do stuff where they're less hungover, but they still want to socialize. Give people a venue to go hang out and, go vibe. My beef is a lot of these DJs don't deserve it. A lot of these DJs that are playing music at these things they're not curating the right vibes.
That's fair. I mean,
it's not 1 a.m. at Club Space, right? Like, just let me chill while I'm enjoying my latte.
Like, you gotta do chill house.
Yeah, bro.
Vibes.
Like, don't make me want to I don't know. My heart's beating
Like
on my
headbang.
chest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
For sure.
And also in the daylight, it's kind of weird. It's different when people are like up by the DJ, like, going a little crazy.
I don't think you ever, unless you're at
People
Vegas, right? Like, unless you're at the pool parties in Vegas, you do not go up to the DJ booth and
I'm going to talk high status, low status positioning. You don't want to be up near that booth.
I'm surprised your hydration, high stats, low stats didn't take off.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe law of shitty click through. I don't know. Maybe I've just pressed it too much. But the one yesterday, terrible. Like,
Did it?
Oh my God.
What brands was it?
I took a shot at the wrong person. I got petty. I don't know if they listen to this podcast, but I went after Caraway, which is a pan company.
Aren't they right down the road?
No, it's made in. I also took a shot at them. I should have gone after Williams Sonoma first. And, but you learn. I mean, it is what it is.
Why are you saying it was petty? Like,
cause I'm just a Hexclad guy, Caraway has I feel like they haven't been so nice to Hexclad. I mean, basically Hexclad got exposed for, the non-toxic thing not being true for them. They weren't able to make that claim. And so it's like all Caraway talks about is they're non-toxic. But still not stick.
Oh, did you say that line in there?
No, I said they were like the pants from the movie Robots.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember
which
that.
I thought was funny.
That was like in the first line, like the first few lines.
Yeah. But I thought that was funny. But apparently, sometimes it's just you.
Dude, I had a dope
in a room.
Miami, and maybe that's why I got sick, bro. My dopamine was like this during Miami. Yeah. Because I hit a few videos and they all popped during Miami.
That was your best one ever, right?
It's at 1.3 mil.
That's your best one ever.
And like, you could ask Rudy because Rudy was there. I posted it and it started taking off. And I said, I'm going to wake up. This bitch is going to be at 60,000.
Yeah.
Woke up. It was at 58. Right. And then I was like, by the end of the day, I was like, oh, this is probably going to end at 200. Mm-hmm. Ended up at like 354. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to go crazy. And then like the one before that performed really well. And then the one like after, a few days after, got like 100K too. And it ended up bringing in like 17,000 followers.
Yeah, that's OD. That's
a week.
crazy.
And then on top of that, Tier's content was performing well.
No
You
wonder
know
you
what I
got
mean?
sick.
And
You had to take an L. Like, that's just how the universe
I
works.
know. And then it was like on top of that, no, I took 2 L's, and I want to get into American Pipe Dream, but I took 2 L's. The biggest L was I rented an Airbnb at a resort in Miami called Caroline Wellness Resort. Cost $7,000 or $8,000 for the week. Okay. I got it because I was like, okay, everything I need is here. I have a 2-story gym. It had sauna, cold plunges, steam, cryotherapy. Everything you could imagine was there. And then like beautiful Airbnb, all glass, looking at the beach, just sick. Because I didn't reserve it 10 days prior of like being like staying there, I couldn't use any of the amenities.
That's crazy.
So imagine paying $7-8 grand.
Remarkable levels of host shit from them.
Insane.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, I just paid $7,000, and like I'm thinking, bro, I'm a cold plunge every morning. I'm a sauna. I'm gonna work out. Like I'm gonna like still be on my training, and I had to deal with that, and so I just had to run every day on the boardwalk.
Is this event something that you're trying to compete in?
Yeah, eventually. Like it's not the event that I look at and I'm like, this is the one I want to win.
But you would theoretically be a part of something like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that was
2
an
years
L.
out, you're just gonna be like taking over the CrossFit. It's like a vlogger taking over the
That's
CrossFit
the goal.
world.
The goal. That's the goal.
That's crazy. Maybe you could single-handedly make CrossFit cool. Yeah, you're kind of in the process doing it.
I've thought about this a lot because if you really think about it, Nick Bear made hybrid training cool.
What is hybrid
Or
training?
hybrid athlete or whatever.
Yeah,
Like he made that shit cool.
I was gonna say the pod will be 3 hours if we go into this debate.
Agreed.
Bro lifted and ran and called it a term.
But that's smart. You know that like.
I won't go any further because I've been blocked by people over my takes in this subject matter.
Have you really?
Well, that's what Sam blocked me for. Remember when I was like, "Oh, it's quads are bigger than yours."
Let's not get into that. Yeah, I don't think that it's a.
I think you'll make CrossFit cool one day. That's kind of like your arc right now. Because like, how do you differentiate from the other green screen bros? It's like, got to do something in real life.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like the other green screen bros, myself included, is limited in real life execution. You know,
that's why even like we have content coming out from like the behind the scenes of that as well. But I've thought a lot about how to make CrossFit cool.
Yeah.
And like to the point where, and I know I'll put the idea out here because I don't think any of them are cool enough to do it, but like, you know, OBJ would have his cleats made and like would have designers do his cleats. Like simple things like that, I think would go a long way in CrossFit.
Yeah, 100%.
Like if I got my lifters that technically aren't like that cool of shoes, but you just have to use them. And I had like the shoe surgeon make a crazy design or do something crazy with them. That's such an easy win. Bro, just having tattoos is like being, all right, the biggest thing I think that would actually change CrossFit is having somebody that's like the enemy. And when I say the enemy is...
They need a villain.
Yeah, bro, because everything in CrossFit is like so kumbaya. Like everybody loves it. If you and I competed and I just beat you in like a lifting competition, we'd finish and like hug and
yeah,
it's stupid.
Yeah.
In basketball, like I understand you lose a game and like you say good game.
But you're
right?
still mad.
But you're mad as shit. Everybody's happy. Every interview is like, oh, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm blessed to be here. And I'm like, I get it. But
because
you don't...
in a sense they are. I mean, I feel like the sport is growing and so they're grateful for where it's at. But you're right that it is almost time. Maybe you should manufacture that though. Like you gotta like fake it. That's what you're about to say.
Fake it, and it's also like I'm not, if I was in any kind of interview kind of shit, like I'm never gonna say, oh, I'm just happy to be here.
No.
Like I could be in, like I would 100% be in like first place, whooping everybody, and somebody is like, you know, you came into this, it's your first year in this shit, like what's there to be happy about? You like that kind, like somebody, they need that.
They need an edgy, little more edge to them. Yeah.
A little more edge and a little more like professionalism and maturity. A lot of the CrossFit athletes are just corny. Even the content that they make is very corny and bubbly.
It's always been that way.
Yeah. And that's why I think Hyrox has
a lot of potential.
because even their branding, like the black, white with like the yellow
Also, people just like are desperate for new attention vehicles these days. I swear. Like they want one thing that the whole like onslaught of people running. Dude, I was just on the trail yesterday, walking the trail, looking at all these people that have no business running. And I was like, yo, y'all are
what does that even mean?
I'm just saying, like, if your knees don't look like they're holding up well, like, you should not be running 16 freaking miles, okay? Like, you know, if it's clear that it's not going well. And all I could think about was, I was like, oh, this is giving everyone agency to feel like an athlete. You know, it's something that you can do with zero skill, right?
Yep.
You can be someone who never touched a ball in their life, and you could still go be a good runner.
Yep.
CrossFit is relatively similar, but I just in the sense of like, dude, if you're getting in great shape, you can go do Hyrox. Like if you're getting in great shape, you can go, if you're someone with 2 hands and feet, you can go play pickleball, right? Like these really accessible sports are giving people agency and making them feel like they're in a, you know, athlete's journey.
Like they're,
which is the most addictive thing ever. Like
yes.
we were former athletes. Like I miss it every day. Like the reason to wake up and go grind on something, which was physical, you know, I think another element of this is, you know, everything that we do is so virtual these days. Like, bro, I don't get anything out of just crunching numbers on spreadsheets and writing copy, to be honest, unless I'm like extremely caffeinated. And, you know, it's just not the same as like when you're hooping or playing football or whatever. And I just think all these niche little sports and communities are starting to build because they're giving people like a reason to do activities that makes them feel cool. Like they just feel athletic.
I couldn't agree more. And
that's why I'm more bullish on Hyrox though, because it feels a little more accessible to those people rather than CrossFit is like you kind of harder to do, I feel like.
It is because with Hyrox, it's push a sled, pull a sled,
hit the cables
the
or
wall
whatever.
balls.
Yeah, this thing.
The skier, and rowing.
And running.
I think a few other things like lunges and broad jumps.
It's like it looks like a super intense hit workout. Whereas CrossFit, you got to like hit that
You have to Olympic
snatch.
lift. You have to
break my neck.
Yeah, you have to Olympic lift. You have to be able to do like gymnastics. You have to do all these things. So no, I agree. But they're nailing the branding, and they've attracted what I would say is like a lot of the cool people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good for the sport, right? Like of Hyrox, they've attracted people in streetwear, people in sportswear. They've attracted a lot of those kind of big names in those worlds that are also dominating that like run club community.
Yeah.
And they're bringing them over to Hyrox.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting, man. I think CrossFit has obviously the most potential because you have the elements of, you have somebody that's lifting 400 pounds. You have like a lot of these athletic things. The problem is media. The problem is branding. The problem is the HQ and shit like this. But that's a bigger conversation.
Something I learned so I put out that piece of content that I stole from that girl. If I were to start a men's apparel brand, this is what I would do, which I'm on the record. I stole it. I did. I'm sorry, everybody. But
you even took the font.
I didn't know Renji was going to do that. It was like, I was like 30 minutes away from press and publish, and he sent the font, and I was like, damn.
I was like, yo, this man took like the exact font.
No, that was crazy.
This
I changed
crazy.
the color though, 3%. But
we should have never talked about that rule ever.
I mean, dude, I don't know, but it's true though. Like Virgil literally just threw some text and like a little safety pin on a pair of Air Jordans, made them iconic.
But he was getting paid by Nike to do the collab. Like it's a little different. You
Yes
know what I'm
and
saying?
no. I mean, my
You get what I'm saying
two
about
cents is I think everything is stolen. I think 95% of social media content is stolen at least in some way from somebody.
No, I agree with that big time. Yes.
So if you hide it, that's cap. Like that's
Well,
where
I don't think the hook was the same, like the text was the same.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, where I struggle with this is, you know, like she that's not a complicated concept, right? Like her doing that is sure. She gave the incentive for someone to copy her by it being successful. and that's great. But if I were to start a men's workout brand, this is what I do as a concept. I think I could totally get away with that not being similar to hers at all if I did a different font, for example. Like if I put that on screen in a completely different font, different way, I don't even think it would be fair to say that I copied her. Now, Renzi used the same font. So
which is crazy.
If someone called me out for it, I'd be like, yeah, you're right.
It was crazy.
Which someone did, and I deleted that comment so fast.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
They said, yo, you stole this from that girl on TikTok. I looked her up. She's not even on TikTok. So they were like, they were wrong with their facts.
I had
Throw it out in evidence. Throw it out in court.
I had somebody DM me and say, when are we starting Rush?
That's crazy.
And I was like,
that's some haterade. Yeah. I mean, to be fair to that, I'm more bullish on that idea right now because of all this tariff stuff. I mean, it seems like you're not going to be able to make your products overseas for a little bit until trade war stops. I mean, it'll naturally stop, but
I've been thinking about too, like I want to have my own product. I think the one problem with the agency game is like the same thing that you and I have talked about. It's like you're just trading time for money.
It's a horrible experience. I hate it so much. I
don't hate it. I there's a lot of things that I love, and then there's shit like, I mean, like any business, there's things that you do not like, and there's things that you like.
Yeah.
Like being at Wodapalooza, executing all that was a high of high, right? Like that shit was super fun.
It's fun to say my client. I'm getting dinner with a client. Like it feels cool, you know. But at the same time, you have good clients and bad clients, and bad clients take up so much more of your time than good clients.
Yeah.
And people also just like simply don't pay on time. And so that part sucks too. Because I can't do that with my employees. I can't say, hey, sorry, I haven't gotten paid, so you can't get paid either.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. No, I the agency game is fine. I mean, it pays the bills. I think my number one advice to anyone who's getting started is you should start an agency because it's your quickest time to cash. But it's definitely not very fulfilling. Like 80% of the time. 95. 97. 3% of the time.
I don't know if I'm with mine, I would say it's like 50-50.
But you're newer. You're not as like beaten down as I am. I enjoyed life last year too.
No, like we had Rare Air and I dealt it with Rare Air. And then the first company I ever started was an agency, but it was like 2016, 2017 called Social First. And I experienced it there like the most. Now with playbooks and how we execute that, it's very rewarding to see teams execute it and it perform well. It's very, like, I do get a high from that. Like watching the Jocko team start putting together like this big brand campaign and like the tiers of the world and blenders and all that. Like it's fun to see that execute and crush. But yeah, there are definitely the moments where you're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
But that has to be, I mean, all these companies are now dealing with this tariff stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's,
yeah. I mean,
like there's always going to be those ups and downs and like those moments.
My biggest thing is not having the ability to turn on the money printer. Like when we do something elite and it's like printing for a brand and there's just like, woohoo, you did what you were expected to do versus, you know, some sort of maybe commission upside on ads that rep. And so that's where it's like, well, you have your own product, you create a winning piece of creative, you spend several $100,000 behind it. Now you're feeling good. You're like, oh, this is sweet.
I want to get the dopamine of seeing someone in my stuff or seeing someone use my product.
Yeah. I think physical products are cool.
I do too. I think it's like this similar dopamine of, I had a good amount of people come up to me at Wodapalooza and be like, I love your content. I just implemented this for this campaign. Like I pitched this brand and I was like, that's sick.
Yeah.
Now imagine seeing 200 people wear your shoes.
For
wear
sure.
Wear your shirt, wear your, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount of, obviously tier, because there's tier Wodapalooza, but like the amount of represent that I saw, the amount of Strong Coffee, like in Strong Coffee is a coffee brand, but they sell cool merch. I probably saw 30, 40 people in their merch, which is sick. seeing people like walk around and just always have like Jocko Fuel on them. And then also going to like the grocery store and you kind of just see Jocko Fuel and you see Raw and you see like these different brands. It's sick to know like that it's just different. It hits different.
Yeah.
And it's because like what we do is so digital. We're so on the back end.
Yeah. Your dopamine, yeah, it's just different. I mean, I think ultimately content is a great vehicle, but it's honestly like more annoying to me at this point than anything.
Like,
the content flywheel, like I just absolutely despise that. Like a video flops and I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah.
You know, like that feedback loop is so bad. Like you feel like you're king of the world versus you, and I don't even care that much, but
it still hits though.
You put effort into something and then it just like dies and you're like, damn, I probably just like didn't do the hook properly and like this was good content.
I agree because I had few videos. Where are they? It was like my Nike running marketing campaign, like a mood board one, brand virality formula, and your brand is a mood board that I put like a lot of time into scripting.
Which probably was some of your best
visuals.
Content. You know, like if you think about it, it's like it was probably some of your most information dense videos, and yet because it wasn't packaged in a way for the masses to like easily comprehend within 0.5 seconds of them just monkey scrolling on their feed, then Instagram penalized the shit out of you and you got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
That is just what's like really driving me nuts recently. Cause I feel like my Heart and Soil video I put out was probably one of the most valuable things for brands to like actually watch recently, because it talked about how to build topical authority in your market. And that's what every single brand needs to do, because they need to be thinking about like, how can I become a go-to resource of information in my category? And that's what social should be right now. And it just completely flopped.
Yeah.
The worst part is, you know that bitch flops within like
the first 30 minutes.
You're like, damn, this is
yeah. And you kind of hope you go to bed and you kind of hope like you wake up and it just like accidentally took off.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
But at the same time, mentality wise, it's like, well, dude, whatever. Like, I mean, that's the game. Like, you just keep. I can do the same script with a different hook 6 months from now and then probably work. So.
But what I will say is like not to get down about it, because I was not down, but I was annoyed, right? I'm like, yo, this Nike running marketing campaign, the brand, all these kind of just didn't hit. And then Ame one hit, then like brand social predictions for 2025. And I remember thinking like, yo, what's wrong? Like, did I just lose the juice?
Did you lose the touch?
Yeah. Can I not do this anymore? Because then even like the other ones didn't hit as much, right? Brand social trends for 2025 got 54. How to create a viral campaign for Momoa got 41. But the Ame one took off. Cortez took ish off 100K. But then good content versus bad content, streetwear brands, and why your brand needs to launch a social show absolutely took off. And the thing there is it all compounds. So the interesting part was when the social show and the good content versus bad content took off, Ame Leon Dor video was at like 150 and it retook off to now 300.
Yeah, that's definitely how it goes.
Cortez was stuck at like 40, took off to 100, right? And so now all of them are starting to compound, and that's why it was like I added 17,000 followers in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that does happen. So it's just interesting. And okay, I got a hack for you.
What's up?
So here's something that you could be doing with your Instagram videos that nobody else is doing. So you can take your best performing content, publish it just as a trial reel, and then never put it onto the feed.
Yeah.
I'm posting, and because it only is shown it to net new people. It's not shown it to anybody.
Followers?
Huh?
Is it picking up followers?
So I started posting like my good content versus bad content running brands. It's at 70, 80,000 followers right now. 70, 80,000 views. And it has 400 or 500 followers from it.
Wow.
So like there's a move there with publishing your top content just there, hitting it trials, and then just bringing in, it's just extra people.
I don't have trial reels.
Really?
They're hoeing.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like,
have you updated the app and everything?
I don't think I'm not like shadow banned, but I definitely am in like an account category where they've been like fucking with me for the last like 10 days pretty much. It's been like very noticeable because my analytics keep changing. Like
mine have changed.
They like took it
well.
away and gave it back. But what I really noticed was, so usually I would get like 50-50 follower versus non-follower split on like the first, I don't know, like 5,000 impressions.
So I don't have that.
You have all followers?
All followers except the brand show one.
Exactly. That's why they were fucking you on your analytics before, because they're showing it to like only your followers, because they pushed that update that Masseri was talking about.
Yeah.
Where he was like, we're only going to look at shares amongst non-followers and then likes on your followers. And so what they were doing is they were testing likes on your followers initially. And that's why last night, my video, the cookware thing, it's the biggest flop. I haven't had a video flop like that in 2 months, which is bizarre. But like, it was exclusively non-followers that I pushed it to. So most of my videos recently have been like 95.5 followers, and they're taking a longer time to take off.
Yeah.
Last night it shot up to like 3,000, but it was all non-followers. And so it got like no engagement, and then it just died. I'm like, they're definitely like pushing
with
a bunch of updates right now. So that part's been tough.
I wonder if I just hit it at the right time.
For sure. Well, I mean, I think it was a good video.
Oren's content though will go, I think every single time he posts, it's like within 10, 15 minutes, it's showing to like 50-50 split basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they definitely treat different accounts differently too. I mean, I feel like I'm a small creator.
Yeah.
So they're like, do we show this? I don't know.
Are you going to be somebody that geeks out when they hit a number? Because I'm not. Like,
no,
I'm not that person at all.
I actually feel like hitting 20 was kind of like, it just, no matter what number you're at, you always feel small.
The only one that was dope for me was 10K.
Yeah.
Like transitioning from
100%, getting out of that initial single digit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the dopamine rush of going from 10 to 20 happened for me in like 8 days. Was pretty chill.
The 2J's video.
Yeah. That was cool. But honestly, no. I mean, it's just like, dude, no matter what, like, you're about to hit 100, which is sick until you look at Oren having 4. Like no matter what it is, I feel like there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, there's always 100%. I'm not going to be that person because I see it too often, and I think it's lame.
It's so lame.
Where they're like, I can't believe I have 100K. Like, thank you to all of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like,
people say that at like 10.
Yeah, bro. And I'm just like, I get it, but it's not that I'm not thankful that you're following me. It's just like, let's just keep it going.
I think
both
of us don't do a great job of engaging with our followers more, though. I think, Squid Pactor's so good at it. Like, just hitting the Yap video 24/7. It's like, I still kind of gatekeep that part of me, and I think people would probably enjoy it with some of the takes that come to mind, but I don't really post like stories or like any of like the lifestyle stuff. And so I'm really just like this talking head. It's like purely informational for them.
I deal with that with myself as well, where I'm like, I need to share what I'm at. Like if nobody knows me, and yeah, if nobody knows me, could they just watch my stories and be like, oh, he's about it, like he's working with these brands? Because somebody commented on like my good content versus bad content. It was like, oh, I'm seeing so much of these lately, like good content, I'm like,
yeah.
Like I was in the comments, I'm like, yeah, like one, they're just copying me.
Yeah.
2, I'm actually working with these brands.
For sure.
Like we're actually.
I've been thinking a lot about that recently, like talking about like just doing, because JT talks about that a lot. He's like, you should do the 3 pinned posts, which is like who I am, what I'm doing, why you should follow me. And I've been thinking about that recently too, because, but it's also like I try and inject that personality into some of the videos, like saying that Hokas are for the slowest people at your local run club. Like that's hopefully a take that your regular green screen bro wouldn't have. But yeah, I also hate seeing other people at my size. Because I'm like, my agency's definitely like 10x the size of your business, and we just shouldn't be the same.
And that's what I'm saying is like so for example, and I'm not going to name names, but somebody is taking your videos, taking my videos where I'm like, hey, this represents $100 million marketing playbook. Yeah. And then they go, this guy is a marketing genius. He's grown his brand to 100 million off of these 3, and their video go like mega viral.
It's so unbelievably discouraging. It's like scrolling LinkedIn.
Which is, it's like, it's fun that it's going viral because I know that's also attracting not the right people.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're not using that kind of verbiage and it's like, oh, they're part of that game.
That's been my experience with IG in general. Is I'm not attracting nearly the same level of buyer as I was on Twitter, and even LinkedIn recently. Really? Yeah, I get follows from these people, like random big brand folks, but I just don't know. I don't know. I kind of think that UGC is really less in demand right now, for sure. Good UGC is still infinitely valuable, but like, it's got such a bad taste in people's mouth that I think they go to my website and they're like, oh, this is like a TikTok shop UGC agency. So I've been thinking a lot about I'm going to change my funnel in the link in bio. Yours is really good. What's good about yours is I feel like you qualify up front before you let them book a call, right?
Yeah. If they're not doing, I think it's above 10.
Do you have that decision tree in your type form? Yeah.
If it's not above 10 mil, you don't get a calendar link. Because
that's what's killing me with my Calendly is you can't branch decisions. So everyone selects the 5K to 7,500. I've taken like 15 calls with people that just have no business being able to afford it. And
I don't take any, like, not one of those calls.
I know. I've kind of been trying to like do the say yes to everything, you know? Because sometimes, well, you never know. Like sometimes you get lucky with that, but
all it's taught me is I need another product that is probably
lower ticket,
$1,000, $2,000 to sell to these people.
Same.
Because, you know what? Let's flex on the pod a little bit. I'm gonna open up how many people are in this type form, and like this type form has been up for 3 months. Yeah, 3.5 months. Because I've had the opposite, where you get a lot from Twitter. Twitter to me has not been shit.
Well, I feel like you
I don't really post that much, but
you haven't posted on Twitter in like 2 years.
I just don't find it like meaningful.
I'm out on Twitter now. I mean,
actually, I'll lie. I'm lying. I closed our biggest client from Twitter by responding to a comment, and then I got a DM, and it closed in.
The truth hurts.
24 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know why I'm not logging in, but.
Should we keep going?
I think we're good. I don't know if we just want to keep rambling. It's definitely killing our retention. There's a bunch of random shit in here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed that Yap session. Alex and I just haven't hung out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a minute.
But if you're still watching at this point, please do us a favor. Leave a review on Spotify. Leave a review on Apple. Subscribe on YouTube. Means the world to us. Helps us grow this thing and continue to improve that production quality. Get us to 2 episodes a week. So
we're almost at 10K. We're at like 8.4.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Share with a friend too. Spread the gospel.
Oh, we got to put that comment.
Yeah.
In the episode.
All right. We'll catch y'all next week.